Hey, friends!
Hey, friends.
Welcome to Live Alone. I'm working on it. Leave me alone, I'm working on it.
Welcome.
Yes, I'm Cassie J.
I'm Ore.
You're looking great in red. This is my favorite dress of yours
Is
because it does
it?
it really is because it does all the things. It's got the color, but it also does the thing.
Yeah,
Okay?
it does
Like
do the things.
it does the thing.
It does do the things. And it's very comfy. Like the fabric's also very comfy.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
congratulations.
Thanks so
Congratulations there.
much.
So there's this, I don't know if you've seen on socials, but there's this Hun who works for this restaurant in South Africa, and she has like brought them to their knees.
Oh,
Have you
no.
seen it? No. Okay. I'm going to tell you the story. Okay. Because I just think it's amazing. I think it's fascinating. So there's this girl. Her name's Miss Lally. Okay. And Miss
Mm.
Lally has, she's like a content creator, but she's
Yeah, I was
also,
going to be like, I know that name.
no, there's Miss Lally, like the big Miss Lally, but this is a
Oh,
different Miss
okay.
Lally. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yo,
so she's a,
imagine being said, oh, there's the big Mithlali. This is a different. Imagine being the different Mithlali.
well, you know what? By the end of the story, we love the different Mislali.
Okay. Okay,
Like
let's go.
she is queen of all queens. Like
Let's go.
I'm
Let's
with
go.
her. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and to be fair, I know more about her than I know about the other Mislali. So just to be fair. Okay. So Mislali, she's a content creator. She's a university student as well. And she's putting herself through university. So as a result, she needs jobs to get money so she can pay for university and for her life, etc. Okay.
Mhm.
She signs up to be or applies to be a waitress at this restaurant called Babel, which has just opened up in Menlyn in Pretoria.
Mhm.
Okay. She gets there, she's hired immediately on the spot. Amazing. This is fantastic,
Cool.
right?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. And she's hired as a waitress. And they say to her, okay, great. Here's some stuff that you're going to need to be a waitress at this restaurant. You need a
Mhm.
uniform. It's like a white shirt, black skirt. You
Mhm.
need a bottle opener. You need a cigar cutter. You need all of these things.
Is she
But
providing these for herself?
there we go. But you must provide them. You must buy these things yourself. You buy it yourself. So she now needs a cigar cutter, a bottle opener. She needs
Mhm.
to buy a uniform, which is like white shirt, black skirt, but it must be tailored in a certain way. Okay.
Mhm.
And then she also must make sure that she has her nails done and she must make sure that her hair looks a certain way as well.
Haibo, is there a wardrobe allowance that's
No,
given for
ma'am.
this?
No. These are costs that you must figure out on your own. So now, leading into her
Okay.
first day of work, she's already spent over 1,000 rand just to arrive at her job. The first red flag. Obviously, you're fumbling on your first day of work. She's figuring stuff out.
Mm.
She makes a
Mm.
mistake and she gets fined. I can't
What?
remember what she did. Like she dropped a glass or I don't know, something happened or she wasn't able to do something. She got fined. So they fine her 200 rand. Okay? So now you must pay your
On your
employer.
first day?
You must pay your employer a 200 rand fine. Okay? And I'm like, second red flag. Number 3, there is no salary. Everything you make from tips.
Eh?
Now,
No, no,
yeah.
no, Cass. No, no, no. How
Yes.
how how is this possible?
How? How? I agree. You are asking the right questions.
There's no salary from
There's no
tips?
salary.
And
You
if people decide not to tip, what happens then? You're
so
working for free?
they charge a mandatory 10% tip, of which they then take 30%, and the waiters and waitresses get the balance of 70% of their tips.
And if people don't show up that day, or if a lot of people don't show up that day, and so there is no mandatory 10% that's being, it's not a lot, what happens to all of the staff?
You don't get paid.
No, 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 no. I'm so sorry. There is no version of the world in which this is okay.
1,000%. Okay, it gets worse. It gets
Haibo.
worse. So she arrives day 1. They don't like the way her hair looks. So they say to her, okay, you need to go and change your hair. Now, as Hans, we know how much it costs to do our hair. She had like braids in. It's probably going to cost her like between 400 and 600 rand to do the
Yeah,
braids that
to
she
get
had
braids.
in,
Yeah.
right? So she had to now go off redo her hair because they didn't like her hair. But her hair was neat. It was fine, like it looked good, but it wasn't the style that they were going for. So she must change her hair. So no salary. No salary, number 3. Okay. Number 4, number 4 red flag. Oh, I suppose it's a build on the fines and things. So like there's a place where they are all allowed to sit and eat. They and it's from the looks of the pictures that she posted, it doesn't look like the restaurant is the one feeding them, but fine. I don't know. I couldn't tell that. But someone left a container there, and they then also were charged a fine of 500 rand. So now you pay a
For
500 rand
leaving a
fine
container.
in the area designated for the waiters and waitresses to eat.
Why is that a finable offense?
Right? Like, so for me, I'm like, so she says, so in the video, so she's doing a story time on TikTok. In the video, she's like, she holds up 100 rand note. She's like, today I worked. She said she worked from like, I think it was like 3 p.m. until 2 a.m. the next morning. So the place closes at 1 a.m. and then they have 1 hour where they have to clean and reset for the next day. And then they go home. And she's like, today I made 100 rand. And then she was like, and with everything that all the fines and all the other things, I'm basically in a deficit. I owe my employer money.
Because if you're not paying a salary, what are you fining?
What do you know what I mean?
Where are
Where
the
must it
fines
come
gonna?
from?
Where is it coming from? You're
Where must it
not
come from?
paying them.
Anyway,
No,
okay. So
guys. No.
Mashali comes on TikTok. She tells her story. This thing blows up, obviously. 4.85 million views on TikTok.
Mm.
SAPS, South African Police Service, gets
Wonderful.
involved.
Love it. Mm-hmm.
Department of Labor gets involved.
Because that is called
Department
slavery.
of
That's what that's
Department
called.
of Home Affairs gets involved.
Wonderful.
Political parties, EFF, starts to make a lot of noise.
Of course
The
they
Hawks,
do.
the Hawks, which is like an intelligence agency, whatever,
Yeah.
they get involved. They all get together and they descend upon the restaurant.
Woo! The Avengers have arrived.
The owners have been arrested
Love.
for like malpractice.
Love it.
Like, shame. There are people who have been hired without the right documentation. Oh, this was the other red flag. There's no contract. So we don't enter into an employment contract. Nothing was signed.
That should have been the first red flag.
Correct. I missed that. My bad. But yeah, so all of the law and enforcement agencies descend upon this restaurant. People who they'd hired who didn't have the right documentation to be in the country were
Oh,
also
shame.
arrested and deported.
Shame.
But now obviously all the practices are being looked at, and hopefully what's going to come of this is the right thing will happen. But like for me, I'm like, here's Mhlali, who is like, she's young, she's like still figuring herself out in the world. Yes, she's a content creator and she's creating content and she's starting to get brand deals and that kind of thing, but it's still new for her. And she is brave enough to tell this story. And the impact that it had from her being like, hey guys, this is what's happening to me. This is my story. This is how I'm feeling about it, has been able to help so many people, shed light on so many like really, really awful situations, things that should not be happening. And it really just got me thinking about the power of story. The power of your story, and how that is something that should not be underestimated, And I think that like a lot of people are maybe walking around the world, the globe, their life, their environment, and just thinking like, I don't have anything to share. I don't have experiences that will mean anything to anyone else. But
Mm.
you would just be so surprised at how you being brave enough to open and share whatever you think is small and mundane or whatever. Because I don't think Mutlali in any way, shape, or form
Mm.
imagine that this would be the outcome of her
Yeah.
sharing this story.
Yeah.
And the beauty as well is that like now her page has like blown up. Like people are ready to
Mm.
offer her jobs. Like,
Yeah.
she's getting more brand deals. She's getting media interviews. Like her dream to be a content creator is
It's
now
being
coming to
realized.
life.
Yeah.
Right? Because she was brave enough to tell because she was brave enough to
Shoo.
tell her story. So
No,
yeah,
guys. In what world were the owners of the restaurant expecting to get away with this? Like
listen,
I'm genuinely confused
it's shocking.
because
Shocking,
there are
shocking, shocking.
laws and there are regulations and how are they expecting to get away with this?
I don't
What?
know. I like,
How do
and
you even feel
apparently
comfortable doing this to people?
to other people. It's crazy. And apparently, like they own a lot of other different restaurants across the city, and they're big, scary mafia people as well. So everyone is
Is
also
it?
like, yeah. So everybody's also like, guys, we also need to protect Mhlali at all
Sure.
costs.
You
Like,
see,
we need to
when
we need to
people when
protect her.
everybody is like, oh, you have to speak truth to power.
Mm,
Ah,
mm.
It comes with consequences, and
It does come up
nobody wants to talk about that side of things. And
correct.
I'm
No,
not
but it's
saying you
very
shouldn't
true.
do it, but like that's what makes
Mm,
it even braver what she's done now, because it's
mm,
like, damn the consequences, whatever's going to happen. This is the reality and this is the truth, and I'm going to get it out there. I'm not afraid of
correct.
you. I'm not afraid of speaking. Yo,
No,
I
correct.
I'm
And
rocked.
no,
It's
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 true.
just
Because
wrong.
how do you feel comfortable with yourself? And like so Matlali also, so to continue the story, she's obviously posted more about what's happened in the background. And
Mm,
she in the days after she posted the video and it blew up before
mm,
law enforcement arrived on her doorstep
mm, mm.
was the arrival of pressure from now what is her employer, because there's no contract, so I don't know what to call this relationship, but who was like, take the video down, like take the video down.
What?
If you don't take the video down, this is what's going to happen to you if you don't do this. And then another manager will message her and be like, hey, please can we talk, and then call her 17,000 times, and she's like, I'm not answering, I'm not answering, I'm not answering.
But like she
Another
stopped
manager,
working there, right?
yeah, yeah, of course. She was just like,
Okay.
I'm done. I'm out. Like, why? What value
So
is there for me to go
why would
back?
she listen to you? You're not paying
Correct.
her. She doesn't have a
Yes.
job. So why is she taking the
Yes.
video down? You treated her like she was less than human. But now she
Hmm.
must take the video down for
Now she must
what?
take the video down. For
Ah,
what purpose?
ah, ah, ah.
And also then there was another manager who arrived. This is one of the ones that got arrested. He was like, I wish you had just come to me. I wish you had just spoken up. We could have figured out a deal. We could have made something work. Then he then offers to pay her back for the uniform, for the cigar cutter, for
Yeah,
the
yeah, 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 yeah.
all of those
Yeah,
things.
telling to shift to one side. I really have a problem with people in positions of power, and I've seen it
Mm,
sometimes, like even as low as like primary school, secondary school, or even university, or in the workplace or at church, people who are like authority figures, and you can see that someone's being bullied. You
mm,
can see
mm,
that is someone's power is being taken away from them. You can see that something's not right. But
mm,
because you speak for the establishment, you decide to keep quiet. And then
mm,
when this person now gets the social support and the community or the world rallies around them, now you want to show up to be like, oh, you should have come to me. You should have spoken to me. Please shift that
yeah.
bag.
Please,
Where
please, please,
you saw
please.
it happening and you decided to keep quiet.
Yeah.
Maintain that same energy now. Don't
Yeah.
come now and
Yeah.
be forming you want to rescue me. What is that? Like
Yeah.
I'm so
For
I'm so
sure.
annoyed on her behalf. Like I'm deeply pained. What the
You and
hell?
5 million other people. Truly, like, it's just so shocking. But I think that there is the lesson for me in all of this is tell your story. Like, if something
Ah,
is happening to you that is not right, speak up. If something is happening to you that
sure.
you're confused about or that you need help on, ask someone, bring it to the
Mm,
light. Because
mm,
the more something stays in the darkness, the bigger it grows, the more it
yeah.
festers, the more it becomes gross and ugly and disgusting. But suddenly, when you shine a light on it, now there's nowhere for it to hide.
To
There's
hide,
nowhere
yeah.
for it to become, become more than what it is. And
Mm,
suddenly it doesn't seem as big, it doesn't
mm,
seem
mm,
as scary. Um,
mm.
and so for me, it's a big thing. And if we unpack the idea of like the power of story, I mean, if we look at storytelling, I mean, this is my job. My job is communications, is telling
Yeah.
stories, is
Hmm.
finding the narrative and
Both are
making sure
jobs,
that it,
really.
yeah, exactly.
Isn't
Actually,
that
that's so
weird?
true. We're both in the business of storytelling, of telling
Yeah.
these stories.
No wonder we
And
love story time.
exactly. We love a story time. Love a story time. Love a good Netflix show. But like if you think about storytelling, like we as humanity have been
Mm.
telling stories for millennia. Like you
Mm.
will walk into caves here, cradle of humankind
Yeah.
in South Africa, and you will see the stories are crafted and written out on the walls,
Yeah. Did
tell
you do
to
it?
tell
Did you
future
go
people.
down into the caves? Did
Yes,
you?
yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun, but at the same time, my black
Scary.
my black person inside of me, I was like, hey,
Ay,
who
ay,
said you?
ay,
If
ay,
this thing should cave now, what will happen? What will you say you went to look for inside
Look,
caves?
if it caves, you're dead. There's no
Oh
one to
my
answer to.
God.
There's no one to answer to. So it's fine. It's over.
Like it was a fun experience, but the deeper we went, I was just like, yo,
It's quite hectic.
why am I here?
It's quite hectic,
Mhm.
right? So and so yeah, so we've been telling stories for a long time. It's on the side of caves, people craft
Yeah.
stories. The Egyptians there with the hieroglyphics. This is how we
Hieroglyphics. Yeah.
how we've captured and we've recorded our stories. Translate
Mm.
that to today. You and I will sit for hours on TV watching someone else's story, watching it
Yeah.
from beginning to end, watching the evolution of the character, feeling an emotion, feeling a
Mm.
connection to that person, maybe
Mm.
drawing some kind of lesson from their
Mm.
experience.
Mm.
If-
Yeah.
Bring it even closer to home. You and I will sit together and we will talk to each other for hours. Doing what? Telling each other stories. It's how
Yeah.
we as a society, as people in the world, are connecting with each other. It is through our
Mm.
stories. And so for
Mm.
me, I'm like, do not underestimate the power of your story, the power of your
Mm.
experience, whether it's positive,
Mm.
whether it's negative,
Mhm.
whether it's about your life, whether it's about a situation. Like your story has power, your story has meaning. And for someone somewhere, whether it is a one-to-one on a couch over a cup of coffee, or whether you are standing on the stage giving a TEDx speech, it is going to resonate with someone.
Mm.
Like we mustn't underestimate the power of story.
I love that you gave some of those examples, and like you're saying, like for generations we've always, humankind has told stories. And I mean, for some people, like it will be like Mathladi did, and you'll tell your story on TikTok, or you'll
Mm,
tell your story on a podcast, or you'll tell
mm,
your story on Instagram or on YouTube or wherever. But isn't it amazing how there's like so many other different ways to tell a story? And as
yeah.
you were speaking, I was just thinking how, for instance, in Yoruba culture, food tells an
Mm,
important story. That's
mm,
why the jollof and the poundo at the wedding is so important. Like it tells a story of
mm,
celebration. Like for
mm,
us, we don't just eat jollof like willy-nilly. I mean, now we do. But before, it's like Sunday afternoon was either white rice and stew or jollof rice. Like it was,
mm,
for us, the food was for those particular kinds of food, or the swallow with the soups, it was like a celebration of a moment.
mm,
We're
mm,
celebrating a wedding. We're
mm,
celebrating a birth. We're celebrating
mm,
the passing of a loved one who has lived a good life. Um, for some other people, telling your story could be through your music.
Mm.
You sing about it, you write about the pain,
Yeah.
or you write about the growth, or you write about the victories. It could be through your novels.
Yes.
It could be through your
Yes.
art. Heck, it could be through your fashion. Like, you're telling a story of confidence, you're telling a story of boldness, you're telling a story of growth. I think that whatever way you find to use your voice and to tell your story, it doesn't have to look like someone else's way of expressing themselves or
Mm.
telling their story.
Mm.
Tell
Mm.
your story your own
Mm.
way. That's what makes
Mm.
the world so beautiful. Because sometimes I
Mm.
listen to music and I don't even know if the story that's being told is like a real story from the writer, but
Fair.
I
Fair, fair,
connect
fair.
so deeply with the
Deeply
story that
with
they're
it.
spinning, and I'm like, this
Mm.
resonates with me so well. This makes me
Mm.
feel heard, makes me feel seen, and I don't even know whose
Mm.
story it is. Do you know what I mean?
I'm
So,
with
like,
you.
I loved how you were saying we've been telling stories. I think what I would add is find your own way to tell your story.
I love
Whatever
that.
that looks like for you, the most important thing is that you
Mm.
get it out there. Find
Mm.
whatever way works for you, whatever way is comfortable, and tell your story. It will resonate
Mm.
with someone. It will
Mm.
hit its mark. It will make someone feel, less alone in the world.
Correct. Yeah.
Whew, I love this so much. I don't
It's
know
cool,
why.
eh?
It
I have
is.
a, I love what you're saying about tell your story in your own way, because I have a friend, her name is Connie, but she's an
Mm.
artist known as Milk, right?
Have you listened to her
Um,
new song?
which one?
I can't remember what it's called, but it's like it's soundtrack for some Netflix show. I
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah, I just stumbled on it and I thought took a screenshot. I was like, I'm gonna send to Cassie,
You
and
should send to
then
me.
I
Send me,
didn't do
send me,
it.
send me. So Connie, she had an experience, and she was raised also in an environment where you don't speak about stuff, right? But it was
Mm.
affecting her in many different ways. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all of the detail, but
Yeah.
she found that she could express and tell her story through song and through music. And she
Mm.
wrote the song I Can't Keep Quiet, right?
Whew.
And
Love
this
that song.
thing has, like, it literally became a global sensation. Like, it
It's
took
not even
over
a
the world.
song. It's an anthem.
There we go.
That's what
There
that
we
thing is.
go.
It's an anthem. Every time I put that thing on, and you can't listen to it softly. You
Mm,
blast that thing. Like, every time I listen to it, it's so empowering.
it's
It's just like,
beautiful.
whew. No, she did an
Oh,
amazing job on that
she did an
one.
amazing job. But like, through her telling her story through song, she's been able to connect
Mhm.
her lived experience with different women around the world from different
Yeah.
cultures, different
Yeah.
ethnicities, different races, like,
Mm.
who are like, I see what you went through. I have
Yeah.
been there. I'm with
Mhm.
you. I stand with you. I
Mhm.
stand beside you. We're going to figure
Mhm.
this thing out together
Mhm.
around the world. It was so beautiful, so impactful. I Can't Keep Quiet. Milk, look it up, listen to it. It's stunning if you haven't done so
Mm.
already.
Mm.
But yes, love it. Love that you're like, tell your story in your own way. It's very
Yeah, tell it in
powerful.
your own way.
Very, very
Tell it in your
powerful.
own way. Figure it
Mm,
out. Like, figure out a way for that it works for you and just get it out there.
mm,
It's so empowering. My
yeah.
goodness.
Now,
Phew.
the other thing that I wanted to touch on, because in Miss Lali's story, she
Mm.
tells her story and she gets it off her chest, and millions of people resonate with her, or even if they don't,
Mm.
haven't been through the same thing, they're like, yeah, girl, this isn't
Outraged.
okay.
Yeah.
We're outraged with you. We're
Mm.
flabbergasted with you. We're
Mm.
experiencing all the emotions you're
All of
experiencing
the
as well.
emotions.
But immediately after her having this empowering moment of sharing her story,
Mm.
there is this force that comes and says, stop.
Mm.
Right now, in this instance, it is the form of the managers who know that they've done wrong by
That
her
they're
and
full of
every other one
nonsense.
of their
Yeah.
employees, right?
Mm.
But who are
Mhm.
there trying to stamp out her story and say, take it down, remove it, stop doing this. And I
Mm.
think that, like, beyond this moment, there are going to be times when you tell your story and your story is going to rub someone up the wrong
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
right? It's going to rub someone up the wrong way. It's going to make them feel uncomfortable. It's going to make them feel small. It's going to make them feel some type of way. Okay.
Mm.
And chances are they're going to be confident enough to reach out to you to tell you why telling your story is not a good idea,
It's not a good idea.
or you should stop telling your story or should stop sharing. And I think like in those are the moments where we actually need to be so much stronger,
Yeah.
like that's when you need to continue to push and be like, no, but it's my story, this is my lived experience, and if it's what I'm going to share, then it's what I've decided to share, then it's what I'm going to share.
Mm.
Like don't let someone else take your voice away because
Mm.
they are uncomfortable, they are feeling
Yeah.
some type of way. That's on them, that's their problem.
Yeah.
That's got nothing to do with you, babes. You keep
Yeah.
doing you, you know
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Because you know what I'm saying? It's difficult. Like I also want you to go into it with your eyes open. Like
Mm,
I want you to go into it fully aware of, what the consequences may be, that there might be some drama,
mm,
there might be some chaos when you are defying power, when you are
mm,
refusing to back down. Because when this person or this authority comes at you to say stop speaking, stop telling your story, and they're trying to shut you down, oftentimes they will go to any length to make that a
mm,
reality. So I want you to go
mm,
into it with your eyes open. It's not always
mm,
going to be, rainbows and butterflies. Like it might get really rough there for a minute.
mm,
But if you are determined and you've decided to tell your story, yeah, what Cassie is saying is right. Don't let them shut you down, because that's when they win.
mm,
Really. That's when they
mm,
win. The only time we're gonna, and I know it's difficult because I've also been in this position a few times and I'm still struggling with it. But
mm,
sometimes the only way to affect real change is to put everything on the line, like to put
mm,
everything on the line, to be like,
mm.
regardless of how this goes, whether it goes, you know, left real quick, regardless of
Yeah,
where I end up, this is the truth that I'm getting out there, and I'm getting it out there at all costs. But
yeah,
be aware of what those costs might be, and
yeah, for
find
sure.
ways, if possible, to protect yourself, to protect your loved ones from the heat,
Mm.
because the heat will come.
The heat will
So it will
come.
come. So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Mm.
Phew. Good luck,
Sure. Yeah.
guys. It's
So
yeah.
my last point on this, don't be afraid to tell your story thing um, is is don't be afraid to tell your story in
Mm.
your own time as well.
Oh, girl.
Right?
Okay, you have me. Yes, ma'am. Because I was like, should I say it? Should I not? Or is always the one who's like, yeah, but let's take things softly, softly.
No.
So I'm like, let me
the
just.
beauty the beauty of it being your story is that it is your story to tell as and when you are ready to tell it. Like it's
Right.
yours, No one should be able to force it out of you. No one should be able to shame it out of you. No one
Oh,
should be
girl.
able to no one should be able to make you feel any type of way for telling your story or for not telling your story. For being prescriptive about who hears your story and who doesn't,
Mm.
right? Like that, it's yours to own, it's yours to shape, it's yours to share or not to share. Um, I'm following the US elections, okay? And I know, crazy, crazy, crazy. But this another woman has come out now against Mr. Trump and
Oh, I'm not even shining
has,
my eyes
yeah,
for that.
yeah, we're not surprised by this in any way, shape, or form. But in her story, the incident that she experienced happened over 30 years ago. Okay. And the everyone, not everyone, there is many divided views on why did you wait 30 years to tell your story? Conveniently, 10, 20 days before the election. Like, why now? Why is now the time you've chosen to come up? And naturally people are using it to be like, oh, she wants money, she wants this, she whatever, Um, but I was just like, maybe it's taken her 30 years to recover. Maybe it's
Yes,
taken
ma'am.
her 30 years to find her voice after whatever her experience was with
Yeah.
Trump. Like maybe that's what it's taken. Maybe she is now in a place where the pain is dull enough, because I don't think this pain ever disappears. I just think it dulls. But maybe she's in a place now where her pain is dull enough that she can experience the rage and the frustration, and that is what is now propelling her forward to be like, actually, let me tell you something. And that needs to be 100% okay, right? This is her story. This is her lived experience.
Mm.
No one can take that away from her, you know?
Mm.
So tell your story. The power of your story is strong, but tell it
Mm.
in your own time, in your own space, in your own way.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say because I'm in my feelings.
Mm,
I'm like thinking about this poor woman
mm.
and I'm like, or maybe she's just got nothing left to lose.
Maybe.
It's it's just like I already I there's there's nothing worse that can happen to me, and maybe she's come, full circle to that realization. Or
Yeah.
maybe she just wants to take her power back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody gets to decide nobody gets to decide when it's time to tell your story.
Yeah.
This nonsense, and I've said it before, to people, and this nonsense we do where we're like, yeah, but it happened 20 years ago. So what?
Mm,
I'm only now able to face it. I'm only now able to deal with it. If
mm,
that's a problem for you, that's okay. I wasn't telling my
mm,
story for you anyway. I was
mm,
telling my
mm,
story for me. I was telling my story to free myself, or I was telling my story to maybe help someone else. I was telling my story so that this person can finally get what's coming to them. I was telling my story so that maybe I could save someone else. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Mind your business and move on. Stop telling
mm.
people that they shouldn't have waited so long. They shouldn't have this. They shouldn't have that. Stop. Like it's Look, I'm tapping out of this one because I'm very
Yeah.
much in my feelings on it. But I agree with you,
Deep
Cass. I feel
breaths.
like
Yeah.
that last point there, like nobody gets to decide when you want to tell it.
Yeah.
Tell it in your
Yeah.
own time. And actually,
Tell in
you
your own
know
time, in
what?
your own
If you
space.
decide, I'm not telling it to the public, I'm not telling it
Yeah.
to the world, I'm going to
Yeah.
tell this one person who's my
Yeah.
safe space, I'm going to tell this small
Yeah.
group of people, that's okay as well. If you say, actually, I'm going to tell this story to myself and make sure that
Mm,
I tell it with a good enough ending so that I can uplift myself, I think that's still
mm.
okay. The points
I
Cassie
think
is
that that's a
bringing,
win.
that's a win. The point
Yeah.
Cassie is bringing is if you keep it hidden and covered in the dark, so much that even cannot
Yeah.
you can't look your story in the eye. You can't tell
Mm,
yourself the story. You're pretending it didn't
mm,
happen. Then it really does have the space to grow and to fester and to become a big thing that can drown
mm,
you. But if you can
mm,
look yourself in the mirror and be like, this thing happened to me. This is my story. This is how I was
mm.
treated. This is what went wrong. And I forgive myself and I'm accepting that
Yeah.
it's just something that happened to me. It does not define who I am. That's a
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
That's still telling your story. It's not until you get on TikTok or you get on YouTube or you get on the national news before we say,
Correct.
"Oh, you've told your story." There
Correct.
is. I love
Correct.
what you said. There is no pressure to tell it in any certain way, to tell it at any certain time, or to tell it to any certain group of people.
Mm.
This is really one of those "do you boo" type situations.
Fully, 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 fully. It is a do you type situation. And I want to wrap and also just kind of say like this is fully a you situation. You get to decide, But if you are someone who was, and this woman, she's telling a story of, sexual assault, but I mean, it could be any story. It could be a story about your, like, how you overcame any challenge, like your story about how you lost weight, it's gonna inspire somebody else. Your story about how you finally eventually got the job after 300 job applications, and then you suddenly got it. Like, that is a story that someone out there wants to hear. I don't underestimate the power of your story and the power of your experiences as well. Your story has value, your story has significance, and you carry significance because of your experiences and where you've come from. So yeah, the power of story. The power of story, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It's incredible.
It's amazing. It's how we encourage each other. It's how we uplift each other. It's how we, how we share with each other, how we grow together, how we learn together. Story is amazing. And this is why I think we are in the jobs that we are in. But yeah, so come say hi on Instagram and TikTok. We promise we'll say hi back, and you can also like, comment, follow, subscribe, all of the above on Apple, YouTube, and Spotify. Thanks so much for being here with us. Go tell someone your story. Tell us your story. Tell yourself your story. Recognize where it is that you've come from. And we will see you next time. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe anywhere and everywhere you find your podcasts. Also, you can watch and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Okay, love you. Bye.